Hello, and you're all very welcome to this pit stop for the Taverns of Tiefenthal, designed by Wolfgang Warsch and published by Schmidt Spiele. The Taverns of Tiefenthal is a 60-minute game in which 2 to 4 players are going to be vying to have the most successful tavern in the town of Tiefenthal. Now the game is played over 8 rounds, and what you're trying to do is use the 2 currencies, be it the money or the beer, in order to attract guests and equipment into your tavern, into your deck, because it's a deck builder with action selection. And the only way you're going to score points is via these cards which have been put in your deck at the end of the game. Now, in each of the 8 rounds, first thing you do is that you move this along, and then everyone gets a choice of a bonus. In this case, we could take a table, which would increase the capacity of our tavern, or we could take an extra brewer who's going to help us brew more beer. So that sounds like a good idea. Once everyone's chosen from their bonus, you then move on, and the next step is everyone starts drawing cards from their deck. Now the cards go in various places around the board. This brewer will come down here and hopefully help you make more beer. And you have several types of helpers. You also have guests. Now this happens to be a noble guest, and they'll take 1 table. And as many nobles as you happen to draw this turn, they'll all go on the same table. But all the guests will take up tables. And you'll finish drawing cards once you've filled up all your tables with guests. Like I said, the nobles stack on top of each other, so they'll only ever take up 1 off your tables, but there's only 1 action available to them, because in lots of these things what you're doing is making actions available to yourself as well as actions available on your board. Now we'll have a look at the other sorts of cards that can come out. You can get and draw extra tables, like I said, to increase your capacity in order to fit in more guests, and that is going to be important because you're going to keep drawing cards until there's no more tables free within your tavern, and that's when you're going to have to stop. And once everyone has filled up all their tables, we're going to move on to the next phase of the game. First thing, and the first helper you're going to check are these servers over here. Now there's a possibility of having an automatic server. We're going to talk about how you upgrade the tavern. But if you've got any here, you simply take a die of your colour, roll it, and it comes down here. And it's these dice that you're going to place on your board that will be your actions. Then everyone's going to have a coaster with 4 white dice on them. You roll them and put them back on the coaster. And for your turn, you draft 1 from the one in front of you, and everyone does this simultaneously. And then the coaster gets passed clockwise around the table, and you take the next one along, and you take 1 from there, and they'll go round and round until you only have 1 left to choose. And when you take that, you're going to end up with 4 white dice in front of you with various numbers on them. And I'm going to cheat so that we can use it for explanation purposes, and that was totally what was rolled. There we go. So everyone's going to have 4 or more dice in front of them. Then, starting with the start player, and that will rotate clockwise each turn, you're going to assign dice onto your board. You can actually change your mind. This is just to give you an idea, because then you're going to start taking them off to do the actual actions. So where can they go on the board here? Well, firstly, when you're placing, the numbers dictate where they can go. And they are as you roll them, apart from if you have any helpers down here in the kitchen. And for each helper, you can virtually adjust the number on the die by 1. So for example, with this 1, I could place it on this noble, which usually requires a 2 by using this server. Well, now I've used that. This guest up here requires a 3 to use. My brew house down here wants 1s and 6s, and maybe I'll put this 2 up here to make some money. And what I'll do is I'll go around and tell you how each of these resolve. So when everyone's planned, we then go first player, start taking your actions. So we need to earn money and we need to earn beer. So how are you going to earn beer? For each of these helpers, these barbacks that you've got, that is 1 beer you get. Now, whenever you earn these currencies, you don't actually get anything. They're just virtual. So you have to remember you've got 1 here. When I look down here, for each 1 and 6 I place in here, I get 1 beer plus 1 for each brewer, which is why I took that one at the beginning of the round. So that's got me 5 beers. And also you have a storehouse here in which you can store some at the end of the round. So I currently have 8 beers available to me. So what can I do with beer? You can recruit 1 guest each turn. There's going to be, at the beginning of the game, until they run out, always a 3 beer, the cheapest one available to you. Or you can spend more to take one of these, and some of them will have little bonuses on them, which will help you as you go along, if you take an extra helper or get rid of a guest. If I had 9 or more beer, I could actually recruit 1 or more nobles. But whenever I take a card, they go on top of my deck. So with my 8 beer, I could possibly take hold of this guest, put them in there. It's going to score me points at the end of the game, and that will be available to me, and this will refill. And I spent all 8 of my beer there, so I put my storage down to 0. You can only store as much as you can hold, and this has actually been upgraded. But if I had, for example, had 2 left over, I would put it there. But that's the only way you keep track, only of things that you haven't spent. Now I can make money, and one of the ways I'm going to make money is by serving these customers. So I'll make 5 money by serving these 2. The more expensive ones will allow you to earn more money. I can also go to my cash box and make 1 money for placing 1 die there. And with that money, I can get the other types of upgrades and upgrade my deck. In this case, I can buy from up here. And let's say I want another serve access to more dice. So that's going to cost me 4. Goes again on top of my deck. I've got 2 left over, and I store that down there in my money house. Now, the other thing I can do with my money is I can do upgrades in my tavern. For example, with this brewing down here, if I wanted to spend 18 money, I could flip this over and make it more efficient. And now, for every die that I put in there from now on, I'm going to earn 2 beers. Now, 18 is a lot of money, but for all of them, there's a way to get discounts. If I discard the card of the correct type that's been placed next to it earlier in the round, I get a discount which is pretty much equal to the cost of that card. So in this case, I'll get 6 money off that. That card goes out of the game, and I'd only have to pay 12 to do an upgrade. And in that way, you're going to improve your engine, if you like. Now, what are the different areas on your board I've been talking about? Well, this one is where you can store beer. You start with only be able to store 2, you can go up to 5. That's where you make beer. Down here, you can only ever place 1 dice, but it can be of any number, and that'll give you 1 beer, 2 if you upgrade it. Over here, you can store money, and again, you can upgrade it to hold more. If I were to upgrade this one, I would automatically get a kitchen helper. So I'll be able to adjust my dice each turn, and this, as you might be able to guess, is just an automatic server each time. And every time I do it, I take a noble, and that's worth 10 points to me. I don't get it directly on the board, but it goes in my deck, and again, I can build them up and make money off them. There's another couple of things here on the board. This is the catch box. If I upgrade that, I can get 3 money each dice instead of 1. This one here actually lets me move on this monastery track, which we haven't discussed yet. So you're going to move 1 space for a 5 die, or you upgrade it to move 2. And as you move along here, there are various bonuses along the track. They give you upgrades or other servants, or further along they give you money. And every time again you pass one of these, you're getting those nobles worth 10 points. So it might be a strategy you want to employ to move along that monastery track. The final thing I haven't talked about here is this bar patron, and they're beginning around bonuses you get sometimes, and they've got 2 different things. They let you, once you've drawn all your cards and filled up your tavern on a turn, you can say, I don't like that draw at all. Use this to throw it away, and then you get to take them all away and redraw again from your deck, hoping to get a better setup, or they just move you once to the monastery track, and you can choose how you use them. You can get 3 of them over the course of the game. So in doing your actions, you take your dice off. Your own dice go back to the pool. Your 4 dice go back onto these coasters. At the end of your turn, you're going to take all these cards, put them in your discard pile. We're going to move on. We're going to draw again until we fill up. We're going to roll our dice. We're going to select them. We're going to use them. And we're going to carry on going throughout the 8 rounds. At the end, we're going to check those victory points for the guests you've been able to get in and the upgraded equipment you've got to go within your tavern. And at the end of all that, whoever has scored the most points is going to be the winner of the Taverns of Tiefenthal. This has been a Game Pit Stop. For more videos like this, check out our YouTube channel. For more in-depth coverage of gaming, please check out the Game Pit podcast. Thanks.